Right now, if you have a child, you can set them down in another room and not think twice about it. No walls of thorns. No one standing guard. That single fact, the fact that you don't have to constantly scan the tree line for something hunting your kid, is one of the strangest luxuries in the entire span of human history. For almost all of it, that luxury didn't exist. You assume humans have always been the ones doing the hunting. The top of the food chain, unquestioned. But for most of our history, that wasn't true. And nowhere did that danger matter more than around your children. Think about the last time you worried about your child crossing a street. Now imagine that same instinct, except the thing that could take them wasn't a car. It was a leopard, watching from a branch, patient, silent, already decided. Anthropologist Dr. Donna Hart spent years studying something most people assume was settled long ago: how much predators actually shaped early human behavior. Her research, co-authored with Robert Sussman, points to something uncomfortable. Early hominins weren't dominant predators. They were, quite often, prey. Fossil evidence shows tooth marks from big cats and birds of prey directly on early hominin bones, including remains of children. So if the threat was that real, how did any child survive long enough to grow up? Not through strength. Early humans weren't fast enough to outrun a big cat, and they weren't strong enough to fight one off directly. What kept children alive was something else entirely, something you probably underestimate constantly in your own life. Numbers. A lone parent and child were exposed. A group wasn't. Predators, then and now, target the isolated, the slow, the unwatched. So early human groups organized themselves less like a modern family and more like a rotating security system, with someone almost always positioned near the children. This is where the story gets more interesting than you'd expect. Anthropologist Dr. Sarah Blaffer HRDY has spent decades researching a pattern unique to humans compared to most other primates, something she calls cooperative breeding. In most ape societies, a mother raises her offspring largely alone. In early human groups, that wasn't the case. Multiple adults, not just parents, took direct responsibility for watching and protecting children. Aunts, grandmothers, older siblings, unrelated group members. Childcare wasn't a private task. It was distributed, almost like a shared alarm system with more eyes watching more directions at once. This wasn't kindness for its own sake. It was survival math. A child watched by one adult has one set of eyes protecting them. A child watched by a group has a dozen. Notice what that means for you, right now, reading this. Somewhere in your instincts is a memory of that same distributed watchfulness, even if you've never consciously thought about it. That reflex you have to instinctively look up when a child near you runs too close to a road, that pull you feel to intervene even for a child that isn't yours, that's not random. That's an old system still quietly running in the background. Beyond numbers, early humans used the landscape itself. Caves and rock shelters weren't just convenient. They were defensible. A single entrance meant fewer directions a predator could attack from. Fire changed the equation entirely, not just for warmth, but because most predators are instinctively wary of open flame. A fire at the edge of a camp functioned as an early, primitive perimeter alarm. Anywhere a fire burned through the night, the odds of a surprise attack dropped sharply. Even nighttime sleeping arrangements weren't random. Children were placed toward the center of a group, adults toward the outer edges, closest to the dark. That positioning alone tells you something about the calculated risk older group members were willing to absorb so children weren't. Here's the part that's easy to miss. None of this was really about heroics. It was quiet, constant, almost boring vigilance, repeated every single night for generation after generation. That kind of unglamorous consistency is exactly the kind of thing history tends to forget, even though it's the actual reason any of us are here to tell the story at all. So the next time you set your child down in another room without a second thought, or let them fall asleep without anyone standing watch, understand what that ease actually represents. It isn't the absence of danger. It's the end result of thousands of years of people making sure someone was always watching, so that eventually, you wouldn't have to.